Hello everyone, welcome back to Vikas Biology. Okay, so in previous video we talked about the chemical composition of DNA and also about the double helical structure of DNA, isn't it? So that is about the contribution of William Astbury, so then Franklin Wilkin, Erwin Chargaff, and finally the double helix model of DNA proposed by Watson and Crick, isn't it? So today let us discuss about the concepts like the condensation of DNA or packaging of DNA. So that is what is called as DNA packaging. DNA packaging. DNA packaging. Okay. See, know that an eukaryotic cell, for example, like human beings. So a single cell of human being that nearly consists of 2 to 3 meters of DNA in a single nucleus. That is around 2 to 3 meters of DNA that can be seen inside a single nucleus. So then you think about the length of the DNA. So DNA ಎಷ್ಟು length ಇದೆ ಅಲ್ಲಿ. So ಅಷ್ಟು length ಇರೋಂಥ DNA that to accommodate inside the nucleus, even you know that the cell is even microscopic in nature. And the nucleus is found inside the cell, isn't it? So where the DNA that is located inside the nucleus is found inside the nucleus. So there are around 2 to 3 meters of DNA that can be seen. Usually the length of the eukaryotic DNA that will be more. So then how that much length of the DNA that is accommodated inside the nucleus? ಹೇಗೆ accommodate ಆಗುತ್ತೆ DNA nucleus ಒಳಗಡೆ? So that is a concept. So how that much length of the DNA that get accommodated inside the nucleus, how it is present inside that nucleus, very small minute nucleus. So that is about DNA packaging. So how DNA get packed into? Okay, see here, the DNA get packed into chromatin. DNA get packed into chromatin. DNA ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ chromatin ಆಗಿ conversion ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. Okay, so the conversion of DNA into chromatin, that can be said as DNA packaging. Okay, so as you all know that DNA is a negatively charged molecule. Okay, it is a negatively charged molecule, and whereas it is acidic in nature. Okay, see, the negatively charged molecule, the DNA, that will combine with some positively charged proteins. By combining with the positively charged proteins, the DNA that will form the chromatin. Okay, see, in prokaryotes also where we can see the packaging of DNA. So where, but it is different from eukaryotes, where in prokaryotes histone proteins are not involved. Okay, so you know that histones are the proteins, histones, which are the proteins which are positively charged proteins or basic proteins, mainly consist of with a large quantity of lysine and arginine. So these are the two important amino acids which are found in the protein, that is what is called as histones. Histone alliranಥ major amino acids ಯಾವುದು lysine and arginine. Histone is a basically charged protein. It is a basic protein where it will combine with the acidic DNA. It will combine with acidic DNA, where the DNA that wraps around the histone, DNA ಆಗುತ್ತೆ histone ಸುತ್ತ wrap ಆಗ್ತಾ ಹೋಗುತ್ತೆ, wrapping ಆಗ್ತಾ ಹೋಗುತ್ತೆ. Okay, so that mechanism is what is called as DNA packaging. But whereas in prokaryotes, as there are no histones, there are some other proteins, non-histone proteins. So where they are involved in DNA packaging. So you know that the prokaryotes, they do not have a definite nucleus, isn't it? So where the genetic material or the DNA material that lies naked inside the cytoplasm ಒಳಗಡೆ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಆದರೆ this naked DNA that is found inside the cytoplasm, it is not dispersed inside the cell. It is not diffused inside throughout the protoplasm. Throughout protoplasm ಏನಾಗಿಲ್ಲ, spread ಆಗಿಲ್ಲ. It is not dispersed throughout the protoplasm, but it is held at a particular position inside the cell. Though there is no nucleus ಇಲ್ಲದೆ ಇದ್ರೂ ಸಹ the DNA or the genetic material that is held at a particular position. It is not distributed throughout the protoplasm. Okay, so that is by means of some positively charged protein other than histones, non-histone proteins, where they combine with the DNA but not forming the chromatin. Okay, not forming chromosomes, because the histones are absent in prokaryotes, but however the DNA that combines with some positively charged protein. So that is DNA packaging in prokaryotes. Okay, so then what happens in eukaryotes? See, in eukaryotes, you know that the eukaryotes, they possess the chromosomes and chromatids, mainly the chromatid formation that mainly takes place by means of histones. See, the negatively charged DNA molecule or the acidic DNA molecule that will wraps over or coils over the histone proteins, and forming a chromatin, okay, or chromatid. So where these chromatins, the further condensation of the chromatin, that leads to the formation of chromosomes, where you know that you can clearly see the chromosomes in metaphase stage of cell division, isn't it? So you know about the cell division, so especially mitosis and the meiosis. So whereas in case of, if you see the mitosis, so where chromosomes are aligned at the metaphase stage, and even in meiosis also, where at that stage of cell division chromosomes are clearly visible. So what happens during the formation of chromosome? So ultimate condensation of chromatin will take place. But when inside the nucleus, when we see a prophase nucleus, okay, without forming the chromosomes, so where chromatin thread we can see the chromatin thread, it just look like a beads on a string, just look like a beads on a string. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ನಮಗೆ ಮಣಿ ಸರ ತರ ಕಾಣಿಸ್ತಾ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಹೌ ಮಣಿನೆಲ್ಲ ಪೋಣಿಸಿ ಒಂದು ಸರ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ತತ್ತಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾವ ತರ ಕಾಣುತ್ತಾ ಆ ತರ beads on a string ತರ ಕಾಣುತ್ತೆ. That is an appearance of the chromatin. That is mainly because the DNA that wraps over the histone protein, that is called as DNA packaging. So where it leads to the formation of chromatin. The main reason is to condensation. To accommodate the limited amount of space found inside the nucleus, the DNA that get condensed means the size of the DNA that decreases. So for example, if you throw your cloths throughout the room randomly, how it looks? Suppose you are having 100 pairs of cloths, so you throw those cloths throughout the room. So how it looks? They were randomly spread throughout the room, here and there, isn't it? But when you fold them, keep it aside in a definite place, so then the room will be clean, isn't it? So that much amount of cloth is accommodated inside a very small space. Similar here also, the length of the DNA, where the DNA get condensed and that can accommodate it within the limited available limited space, that is regarded as DNA packaging. Okay, so see here, during DNA packaging, as I said, the negatively charged DNA molecule that coils over the positively charged histone proteins. Here, histone proteins are involved during the DNA packaging. So they were in the form of octamer. That is in the form of octamer. Octa means 8. Okay, so that is in the form of octamer. It means they were in the group of 8. So like H2A, H2A, then H2B, H2B, H3, H3 and H3, then H4 and H4. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so there are 8 histone proteins. They are together forming an octamer. That is, together they are forming a core. Core means the center. Okay, so where around this core, the DNA that wraps around, DNA ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ ಈ ಕೋರ್ ಸುತ್ತ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ wrapping ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. Here there will be another histone octamer. Again the DNA wraps over here. Here there is another histone octamer. Again the DNA that wraps over this histone octamer. So likewise it goes on. It just looks like beads on a string. How it looks? It looks like a beads on a string. It looks like a beads on a string, isn't it? See, such a packaging of DNA around the histone octamer, and this one core, this model is what is called as nucleosome model. Nucleosome model of DNA. Nucleosome model of DNA. So where that DNA that recoils over the histone octamer and forms like a beaded structures, and that is what is called as a nucleosome. Means one bead is considered as a nucleosome. Okay, so it is also regarded as solenoid model. It is also called as solenoid model, nucleosome or solenoid model. Okay, so where the DNA that wraps over the histone octamer. See, there is another histone, what is called H1. H1 histone. So that links the two nucleosome, that will links the two histone octamer. ಎರಡು histone octamer ಏನು ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ ಅದು ಲಿಂಕ್ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ. It is not found in the histone core ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇರಲ್ಲ. So okay, so where that is found outside the core, that is H1 histone. See, H stands for histone. So how many histones were there here? H2A, H2B, H3 and H4. There are 4 here. They were in pair and that forms the octamer. Octamer means there are 8 histones here, and H1 is outside the core. H1 is not found in the core, it is found outside the core. Okay, so this one structure, beaded structure, is what is called as a nucleosome, and this is what is called as DNA packaging. So where DNA get converted into chromatin. So now this structure is regarded as a chromatin. ಇವಾಗ ಏನಂತೀವಿ ಇದನ್ನ chromatin anta kariteve. This structure is regarded as chromatin. Okay, so this chromatin is further condensed, coiling and recoiling over the chromatin, that leads to the formation of a chromosome. The highly condensed form of chromatin is chromosome. So where you can see chromatin in prophase stage of cell division, or otherwise in prophase or interphase nuclei. Okay, especially in interphase nuclei. But during prophase, gradually, then you know that the events, gradually the nuclear membrane that disappears, condensation of chromatin that takes place gradually. Okay, but whereas in case of interphase, especially the interphase nuclei, so where you can see the chromatin threads or chromatin fibers, gradually they get condensed to form a chromosome that is visible in metaphase as well as in anaphase. Where in anaphase you observe the separation of chromosomes. Okay, so this is about DNA packaging. Okay, or nucleosome model of DNA. Okay, then the next important concept is about searching for genetic material. Searching for genetic material. See, so now we know that DNA is a genetic material that is hereditary or that can transfer the character, so that all things we know that nowadays. But those earlier days, there is a debate that among the following molecules like proteins, RNA and DNA, which among the molecule is hereditary material or which is inheritable or which can control the character. So that is how it was identified, DNA as a genetic material. Okay, so the concept is searching for genetic material. Searching for genetic material. Genetic material. How DNA get identified or it is searched as a genetic material? Yeah, you know what is a genetic material? That should regulate the character, isn't it? So that should express as a character by producing the proteins. Okay, by producing RNA, through the RNA it will produce as a protein, so thereby the character will be expressed. So that is considered as a genetic material, isn't it? But how DNA is identified as a genetic material? So that is a concept where searching for genetic material. Okay, so among that you have two experiments. One is blending experiment of Hershey and Martha Chase. Blending experiment of Hershey and Martha Chase. Hershey and Martha Chase. Blending experiment of Hershey and Martha Chase. Okay, so they proved DNA as genetic material by conducting an experiment, that is what is called as blending experiment. See, to conduct this experiment, they have selected T2 bacteriophages. T2 bacteriophages. You know what is a bacteriophage? That is nothing but the viruses which infect the bacteria. T2 bacteriophages and E. coli bacteria as host. E. coli bacteria as a host, because these bacteriophages they will infect the E. coli cells. Okay, see, they grew bacteriophages on the media which consists of P32, that is phosphorus 32, as well as S35, that is sulfur 35, isn't it? So they grew bacterial cells in two separate medias, where one of the media that consists of radio labeled phosphorus and the another one that consists of isotope, that is what is called as radio labeled sulfur, S35. Okay, P32 that is phosphorus and S35 that is the sulfur, where the bacteriophages they grew on separate media. So by providing P32 radio labeled phosphorus and by providing radio labeled sulfur separately. Okay, so you know that phosphate is found in DNA, isn't it? Phosphate is found in DNA. It is found in DNA, but sulfur is absent in DNA. Okay, so where it is present in proteins. Sulfur is present in proteins, but phosphate is found in DNA. But whereas sulfur is found in protein, not in DNA. DNA nalli sulfur illa, it is present in proteins. Okay, so what they did, they allowed to infect these bacteriophages to E. coli cells separately. They allowed to infect the bacteriophages with E. coli cells separately. Okay, so like, you know, this is a bacterial cell. This bacterial cell will be infected by the bacteriophages. You know how the bacteriophage is, just like a tadpole-like structure. So this will usually, you have studied transduction, isn't it? So the method of DNA transfer from one bacterial cell to another bacterial cell mediated by a bacteriophage. Okay, so the DNA from the bacteriophage that can enter into the bacterial cell, that will enter into the bacterial cell, and protein coat will remain outside. Protein coat that will remain outside. Only the DNA will enter. Okay, only the DNA of the bacteriophage that will enter, and protein coat that will remain outside. See, you remember here, they were grew on the media consists of phosphorus 32 and the sulfur S35. Okay, so where the S35 that get labeled with the protein, whereas the P32 that will be the radioactive element that will label with the DNA. Okay, where DNA is labeled with the phosphorus, whereas proteins get labeled with the sulfur, because sulfur is not found in DNA. Okay, so then when a bacteriophage infects a bacterial cell, what happens? The bacteriophage, the protein coat that remains outside, protein coat ಹೊರಗಡೆ ಇರುತ್ತೆ, only the DNA of the bacteriophage means the virus that will enter into the bacterial cells. Okay, so these bacteriophages, they allow to infect the bacterial cells, they get multiplied inside the cell, isn't it? So once they enter inside the cell, so where you know that the DNA or the genetic material of the bacteriophage that takes the command over the bacterial cell, metabolic machinery of the bacterial cell, so where its DNA particles that will multiply. Okay, so number of bacteriophage DNA that will multiplies, and finally new bacteriophages will come out, isn't it? So new bacteriophages will come out with a new protein coat, and where the DNA get packaged inside that. So the new bacteriophages will come out by lysing the cells, isn't it? So then the DNA get packaged into that protein coat, that is to the head of the bacteriophage. So but once first it infects the bacterial cell, ಯಾವಾಗ first bacterial cell infect ಮಾಡುತ್ತೋ, at that time it releases only the DNA, not the protein coat. Protein coat remains outside. So what Hershey and Martha Chase they did, that is a blending experiment of Hershey and Martha Chase, they did that. They blended the mixture of bacterial cell along with the bacteriophages. They blended the mixture, that is to separate the protein coat. That is to get separate the protein coat. Protein coat ಅನ್ನು separate ಮಾಡಕ್ಕೆ mixture ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ, blend ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. Later on they allowed there the bacteriophage DNA that entered inside the bacterial cell, where it multiplied and it has produced new bacteriophages after some time. Okay, new bacteriophages formation ಆಗಿರುತ್ತೆ. Later what they did, they centrifuged the mixture. They centrifuged the mixture. Okay, so later what they did, they centrifuged the mixture. Mixture ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ, centrifuge ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. After centrifugation ಮಾಡಿದಾದ್ಮೇಲೆ, so where it forms, you know that there will be a supernatant, where it forms a supernatant. Supernatant means it is having less density that floats on, okay, on the surface. So whereas on the other hand it forms a pellet. Pellet means that is having more density, so that can pellet. So where that stores at the bottom of the centrifugation tube. Centrifugation tube bottom alli pellet ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, store ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. Supernatant that will float on the surface because of its low density. So when it compared with the protein as well as DNA, proteins are having lesser density when compared to DNA. DNA is more denser. So where the DNA of the bacteriophages and the debris of the bacterial cells, means the dead bacterial cells, the debris and the DNA of the bacteriophages, that gets stored at the bottom of the centrifugation tube. Whereas the protein coat and the lighter elements, they get float on the surface, that forms a supernatant. So this is the supernatant. This is the supernatant and this is a pellet. Okay. So where pellet that consists of DNA and the debris of the bacterial cells, whereas the supernatant that consists of the protein and other lighter elements, which are lighter than DNA. DNA is more denser. When they observe for the radioactivity, just remember the radio labeled phosphorus as well as with the sulfur, P32 and S35. When they observe for the radioactivity in the pellet as well as the supernatant, so only the pellet that shows the radioactivity, but supernatant not. Only you just recall here, the supernatant that do not show radioactivity, only the pellet that shows radioactivity. When they observe the pellet where it consists of DNA, the pellet that showed radioactivity but not the supernatant, where supernatant that consists of protein, whereas the pellet that consists of the DNA of the phages. The supernatant that consists of protein coat of the phages, okay, whereas the pellet that forms where that shows a radioactivity, where they find the DNA. So why it shows radioactivity? Because it consists of P32, isn't it? So aವಾಗ ಹೇಳಿದೆ ನಾನು, P32 means phosphorus is found in DNA, sulfur is not found in DNA. So you just remember the principle here. only the DNA of the bacteriophage will enter, not the protein coat. Protein coat enter ಆಗಲ್ಲ. Suppose in case protein coat enter ಆಗಿದ್ದು bacteriophages along with that protein coat only multiplication ಆಗದಾಗಿದ್ದಿದ್ರೆ, even the supernatant also shows radioactivity, means radio labeled isotope use ಮಾಡಿರೋದ್ರಿಂದ. But ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, the protein coat that remain outside, it do not enter into the cell, only the DNA will enter. That DNA multiplies inside the bacterial cell. The new protein coat will be produced by using the metabolic machinery of the bacterial cell. Bacterial cell metabolic machinery use ಮಾಡಿಕೊಂಡು ಹೊಸ ಪ್ರೋಟೀನ್ ಕೋಟ್ ಫಾರ್ಮೇಷನ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಈ ಹೊಸ ಪ್ರೋಟೀನ್ ಕೋಟ್ಗೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಬ್ಯಾಕ್ಟೀರಿಯಲ್ ಸೆಲ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ S35 ಇಲ್ಲ, ಮೀಡಿಯಾದಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾತ್ರ ಪ್ರೊವೈಡ್ ಮಾಡಿದೆ. ಪ್ರೊವೈಡೆಡ್ ಓನ್ಲಿ ಇನ್ ದ ಮೀಡಿಯಾ, ಬಟ್ within that bacterial cell they use normal sulfur, isn't it? They use normal sulfur, not the radio labeled sulfur. ಅವಾಗಲೇ ಹೇಳಿದೆ, ಬ್ಯಾಕ್ಟೀರಿಯೋಫೇಜ್ ಎಂಟರ್ ಆದ ತಕ್ಷಣ they use the metabolic machinery of the host cell. Okay, by using that metabolic machinery they can synthesize their own protein, but in the bacterial cell the normal sulfur is present, not the radio labeled sulfur. But they grew the bacterial cells on the sulfur media for the first time. They were allowed to infect such bacteriophages to the bacteria. But when the new protein coats are produced inside the bacterial cell, when the new viral particles they come out from the bacterial cell, so where this protein coat do not show radioactivity because it doesn't consist of radio labeled sulfur, because protein coat has not entered for the first time. First infection ಆದಾಗ protein coat enter ಆಗಿಲ್ಲ, only the DNA has entered. ಆ DNA ಏನಾಗ್ತಾ ಹೋಗುತ್ತೆ, ಮಲ್ಟಿಪ್ಲಿಕೇಶನ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಹೋಗುತ್ತೆ, that multiplied inside. You should remember that DNA is labeled with the P32. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಾಗಿರುತ್ತೆ, P32 ಇಂದ ಲೇಬಲ್ ಆಗಿರುತ್ತೆ DNA ಬ್ಯಾಕ್ಟೀರಿಯಲ್ ಸೆಲ್ ಒಳಗಡೆ ಎಂಟರ್ ಆಗಿರುತ್ತೆ. ಅಂದಮೇಲೆ ಎಷ್ಟು ವೈರಲ್ ಪ್ರೋಜನಿ ಬರುತ್ತೋ ಅಷ್ಟು ವೈರಲ್ ಪ್ರೋಜನಿ ಒಳಗಡೆ ಈ DNA ಏನಾಗಿರುತ್ತೆ, ರೆಪ್ಲಿಕೇಶನ್ ಆಗಿರುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ವಾಟ್ ಹ್ಯಾಪನ್ಸ್ ಡ್ಯೂರಿಂಗ್ DNA ರೆಪ್ಲಿಕೇಶನ್, ಒನ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ಸ್ಟ್ರಾಂಡ್ ಇಸ್ ಅ ಓಲ್ಡರ್ ಒನ್ and the another one is a new strand. Andre, you know that DNA is a two-stranded molecule. Among that, one of the strand of the DNA that is older one. Older one means that consists of P32. Whereas the other one with the new one that consists of normal phosphorus. Normal phosphorus is provided by the bacterial cell. The other strand that is normal phosphorus, whereas the one of the strand that is a previous one that is coming from the bacteriophages which are carrying P32. P32 bacteriophages ಇಂದ ಬಂದಿರೋಂಥದ್ದು. ಫಸ್ಟ್ DNA ಏನು ಎಂಟರ್ ಆಯ್ತಲ್ಲ ಅದು. ಸೊ ಅಮಾಂಗ್ ದ ಟೂ ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ DNA, ದ ನ್ಯೂ, ಇದು ಎಲ್ಲಾ ವೈರಸ್ ಎಷ್ಟೇ ವೈರಸ್ ಪಾರ್ಟಿಕಲ್ ಬಂದ್ರು ಆ ಡಬಲ್ ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡರ್ಡ್ DNA ಇರೋಂಥದ್ದು ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ ವೈರಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ one strand that consists of P32, that is a parental strand that remained, whereas the other strand that is newly synthesized here. Okay, so hence when the centrifuge, the high density molecule they get settled at the bottom, so as a pellet, whereas the low density molecule they get float as a supernatant, isn't it? When they observe for the radioactivity, supernatant that doesn't show radioactivity that was observed only in the pellet, that is consists of DNA. Okay, so hence they proved that DNA is a genetic material that get transferred from one generation to another generation, from first generation of phages to the several generation of phages. When they observed for several generations of phages, so they found that the radioactivity only in the pellet, not in the supernatant. Supernatant alliranthadu proteins, as proteins do not have phosphorus here, so radio labeled phosphorus here, hence they do not show radioactivity. Only the pellet that has shown radioactivity, that is mainly because pellet ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾತ್ರ radioactivity formation ಆಗಿದೆ. ಯಾಕೆ? the main reason the pellet to show the radioactivity, the reason is where the pellet that consists of DNA, that's why the pellet had showed radioactivity. Okay, so this is about the blending experiment of, because they blend the mixture. Okay, blending experiment of Hershey and Martha Chase to prove DNA as a genetic material. Okay, so I hope you understand this concept. So let us move on to the next one, that is the transformation experiment of Griffith, that I have explained in the live class also. Okay, so the second one is transformation experiment of Griffith. I will repeat here also. Okay, see, transformation experiment. So the second one in searching DNA as genetic material is transformation experiment of Griffith. Okay, so see, the Frederick Griffith, he carried out an experiment. That experiment is what is regarded as transformation experiment. You heard about transformation, okay, like bacterial transformation, isn't it? So that is nothing but the transfer of DNA or the uptake of naked genetic material from the bacterial cells by the surrounding. Okay, the uptake of naked bacterial cells by the bacterial DNA or the uptake of naked DNA molecule by the bacterial cells from the surroundings. Okay, surroundings in the bacterial cells so naked DNA molecules na uptake ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. Means if they take allowed that DNA molecule to enter inside the cell, that process is what is regarded as transformation. You know that a piece of DNA that can do wonders. It means that can create the new characters, isn't it? ಒಂದು ಸಣ್ಣ DNA piece ಇದ್ರೂ that is having the ability to create or to generate the new characters, isn't it? So where the bacterial cells, where the DNA from the surrounding media, means from the media that get entered inside the bacterial cell, the naked DNA molecule, not mediated by the vector. So you have studied like conjugation, transduction and transformation, isn't it, in your previous year? So where conjugation involves the fusion of two bacterial cells to transfer the DNA, whereas the transduction that involves a vector, that is what is called bacteriophage. But here what happens, there is no need of two bacterial cells to involve, means to conjugate, or there is no need of bacteriophage. Simply the bacterial cells will takes the DNA from the solution, the surrounding media. Okay, suppose if we mix the bacterial cell with the DNA molecule in a solution, where those DNA molecule will enter inside the cell. Those bacterial cells, they uptake the DNA. Absorption and uptake of naked DNA molecule by the bacterial cell is what is called transformation. Absorption and uptake of naked DNA molecule by the bacterial cell is called as transformation. Okay. See, Griffith is working on a bacterium called as Streptococcus pneumoniae. You know that causes the disease pneumonia. Okay. Or even it is Diplococcus pneumonia also, that is also causing pneumonia. Streptococcus pneumoniae, the bacteria which causes pneumonia. See, this bacteria is having two variants. Two strains can be observed here. One of the strain is said to be the virulent strain. And the second one is said to be the avirulent strain. One of the strain is virulent and the another one is said to be avirulent. Virulent strain, it is pathogenic. Virulent strain is pathogenic. It means it causes disease. It is pathogenic. Whereas the avirulent strain, it is non-pathogenic. It do not cause any disease. This other disease cause madala. That is non-pathogenic. Okay. So this virulent strain is also called as S strain. Here S stands for smooth strain, S strain. Avirulent strain or non-virulent strain, it is also called as R strain. Idana R strain anta kariyare. See here, the S strain and the R strain, there are two variants in Streptococcus pneumoniae. The S strain, that is the smooth strain, why it is regarded as smooth? Mainly because these bacterial cells, they get surrounded by a gelatinous covering, a transparent, a slimy gelatinous covering over the bacterial cell. And that gelatinous covering is what is called as a capsule. That is regarded as a capsule. You heard about capsule, isn't it? A capsule is a gelatinous covering over the bacterial cell. So those bacterial cells which possess the capsule around it, that is regarded as smooth strain. Smooth, yake smooth antive andre, they produce the smooth colonies on the media. When we grow the bacterial cells on the agar media, they form the smooth shiny colonies. Smooth and shiny colonies were produced on the media when the bacterial cells are having the capsule around them. Okay, those strain are regarded as S strain, and these S strains are virulent. Virulent means they cause disease, they are pathogenic in nature. Whereas on the other hand, the R strain, so where these R strain, they do not possess the capsule. When they grow on the media, they produce dull colored colonies. Dull colonies means they do not shine. Shine agala yake, they do not consist of capsule, because capsule is a slimy gelatinous layer. When it is found around the bacterial cells, such colonies of bacteria that will shine. Okay. Whereas the R strain, as they do not have the capsule, they produce a dull colored colonies on the media, on the agar media. Okay. So these are two variants in Streptococcus pneumoniae. Usually the pathogenic ones are the virulent forms that causes pneumonia. You know what is pneumonia? It is a lung related disorder where the alveoli of the lungs, that they get filled with the fluid. Okay, swelling of the lungs or inflammation of the lung is observed in case of pneumonia. Okay, so these two strains were used by Frederick Griffith for his transformation work. So what he did, he conducted in vivo studies. In vivo. He carried out in vivo studies. See, in vivo means he used an animal model here. So by using animal models, if you study, by using organisms, if you study or if you conduct any research, that is what is called as in vivo studies. Okay. So he carried out in vivo studies by using Streptococcus pneumonia and by using mice as a model. Okay. So where, just remember there are two varieties. One is S type, that is smooth strain, and it is virulent. It means it causes disease. Whereas the other one is R strain, that is rough strain. Okay, that doesn't consist of capsule, that is avirulent. It means it do not cause any disease. So it means the disease causing ability of the bacteria that can be seen in the capsule here, isn't it? So that indicates, ಅದು indicate ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ. Capsule ಇಲ್ಲ ಅಂದ್ರೆ disease cause ಮಾಡ್ತಿಲ್ಲ, capsule ಇದೆ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ disease cause ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದೆ ಅಂತಾರೆ. There is some speciality in that capsule that is able to cause, that makes the bacteria virulent. ಅದೇನ್ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ, ಬ್ಯಾಕ್ಟೀರಿಯಾನ virulent ಆಗಿ convert ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ. Okay. So let us look into the steps which were carried out by Frederick Griffith. First, what he did, he selected R type of bacteria. ಇದರಲ್ಲೂ ಮತ್ತೆ substrain ಬರುತ್ತೆ. Like R1, R2, R3 ಅಂತ, ಮತ್ತೆ again in S1, S2 and S3 ಅಂತ S strain ಮೇಲೆ subtypes ಬರುತ್ತೆ. Okay. So he selected first R type of bacteria. He injected to mice. In the first step. So where mice remain healthy, it remain alive. Mice remain healthy. Means it do not cause it do not observe any disease, so that that mice will remain healthy. It remain alive. Okay. So in the next step, what happens? He inject S strain or S type of bacteria. He inject S type or S strain of bacteria to mice. He injected in the second step the S type of bacteria to mice. Here, what happens? Mice died because of pneumonia. Here the mice dies because of pneumonia. Okay, because this is a virulent one, isn't it, that having the ability to cause a disease. In the third step, what he did, he heat killed S type bacteria ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ತಾನೆ ಗ್ರಿಫಿತ್, heat kill ಮಾಡ್ತಾನೆ. In the third step, he heat killed the S type bacterial cell. Then he injected to mice. What happens here? He heat killed the S type of bacteria. The mice remain healthy. Okay. Then in the fourth step, this is a very important step here, and this can be considered also as a milestone while identifying the DNA as a genetic material. Okay. So this is very important step here. In the fourth step, mixture of, he used heat killed S type plus live R type. He used heat killed S type plus live R type of bacteria. So where he injected to mice, when he observed the result, okay, he observed mice died because of pneumonia. When he isolated the bacterial cells from the dead mice, the dead mice in the bacterial cells isolate ಮಾಡಿದಾಗ, he wondered that he found S type of bacteria. But he injected the live R type, ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಬದುಕಿರೋಂಥ R type bacteria plus heat ಮಾಡಿ kill ಮಾಡಿರೋಂಥ S type bacteria inject ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು, isn't it? The mixture of heat killed S type bacteria and the live R type bacteria he injected to mice. But what happened? After some time, the mice got the disease and mice died because of pneumonia. So once he observed the bacterial cells isolated from the dead mice, where he found the S type, he wondered what is the mechanism that is behind while converting the R type of bacteria into S type. Isn't it? Here the R type of bacteria get converted into S type. But he injected the heat killed S type. In the first step also, in the previous step, he again injected heat killed S type, but mice remain healthy. But what he did in the next step, he mixed that heat killed S type solution with the live R type of bacteria, injected to mice, and the mice died. Where he isolated the bacterial cells from the dead mice, so where he found S type of bacteria. He wondered what mechanism that has happened here. So how the R type of bacteria that get converted into S type. ಹೇಗಾಯ್ತಿದು ಅನ್ನೋದನ್ನ ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ತಾನೆ ಗ್ರಿಫಿತ್, he coined the name for that mechanism as transformation. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಏನಂತ ನೇಮ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾನೆ ಗ್ರಿಫಿತ್, ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಫಾರ್ಮೇಷನ್ ಅಂತ ನೇಮ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾನೆ. Okay, see, he said that, he concluded that there are some factors, okay, he not exactly known what is that factor, he doesn't know exactly what may be that factor. Okay, he concluded that there are some factors which are transferred from there are some factors which are transferred from heat killed S type. There are some factors which are transferred from heat killed S type of bacteria, heat killed S type of bacteria into live R type. There are some factors which get transferred from heat killed S type of bacteria into live R type that transformed R type of bacteria, into S type. He concluded that there are some factors which get transferred from heat killed S type of bacteria into the live R type of bacteria, and that transforms means convert, that transforms the R type of bacteria into S type of bacteria anta conclude madde yaru Griffith. But he unable to identify what is that factor, what is that molecule actually. So what causes the conversion of R type into S type, what is there behind that transformation, he couldn't able to identify that one. But later on, the work of the Griffith that was conducted by, again it was repeated and conducted by the three other scientists, Avery, MacLeod and McCarty. Okay, so where they carried out the same work of the Griffith, but they did in vitro studies, not in vivo. In vivo means he carried out an animal by using an animal model. But they did, Avery, MacLeod and McCarty, they did in vitro studies on transformation, on Griffith experiment. So later they proved which is that molecule anta. But Griffith, he said that some factor that get transferred from S type of bacteria to R type of bacteria, that makes a conversion or transformation in the R type of bacteria. So where R means rough type of bacteria, the avirulent bacteria or non-virulent bacteria, a rough type of bacteria, they get converted or transformed into the S type of bacteria, means the smooth strain of bacteria. Okay, so for that he coined the mechanism or named it as transformation. Okay, so that is the contribution of Frederick Griffith while identifying or searching the genetic material, that is as the DNA. Okay, so in this class we studied about DNA packaging, that is how DNA get converted into chromatin. So then searching for genetic material, in that you studied about the Hershey and Martha Chase experiment, that is the blending experiment by using phosphorus, radio-labeled phosphorus and radio-labeled sulfur, by using bacteriophages, T2 bacteriophages and E. coli cell, isn't it? So then you studied about transformation, that is by using the bacterial cells, that is R and S type of bacterial cells, that is the, okay, so by using Streptococcus pneumoniae. So in that there are two variants, one is R type, another one is S type, that is the rough strain, another one is the smooth strain. So one is virulent, that is smooth strain, another one is avirulent, that is the rough strain. So by using that and by using the mice, he carried out transformation experiment. The second part of this, that is conducted in vitro studies by Avery, MacLeod and McCarty, that I will explain in the next class. Okay, so again, so just the 2 points about the chromatin. Okay, so I forgot to tell in the while packaging of DNA. Okay, so there are two important points you must remember. One is euchromatin. There are two regions on the chromatin was observed, and they were considered as euchromatin and heterochromatin. Just remember these two, euchromatin and heterochromatin. Heterochromatin is also regarded as intron. It is also considered as intron. The differences between these two, that will be asked in the examination, or even for 1 marks also. Sometimes it is asked for 2 marks. Write the difference between, differentiate between introns or exons or heterochromatin and euchromatin, like that. And euchromatin is also known as exons. Okay. See, euchromatin means they are the lightly stained areas on the chromatin. lightly stained areas. They are the lightly stained areas on the chromatin, and these regions are transcriptionally active. And these regions are transcriptionally active. These are the lightly stained areas on the chromatin, and these regions are transcriptionally active. Means, if you stain the chromatin with a basic dye, say as acetocarmine or acetoarsine. Okay, so because DNA is negatively charged molecule, we are using the basic dyes, acetocarmine or acetoarsine. Some regions on the chromatin, they take light stain. Okay, are loosely packed areas anta helbodu. They are loosely packed areas, or lightly stained areas, or loosely packed areas. And those lightly stained areas or loosely packed areas are regarded as euchromatin or exons. They are transcriptionally active, means they are readily involved in protein synthesis. It means they produce a mRNA. By that mRNA, the proteins are synthesized. So that is what is called as transcriptionally active. They are readily involved in transcription as well as in translation. Okay. Then they are regarded as euchromatin or exons. Whereas on the other hand, heterochromatin or intron. See, the heterochromatin or intron, it is nothing but they are the darkly stained areas. They are the darkly stained areas or densely packed areas. Densely packed areas or darkly stained areas on the DNA or on the chromatin. Those darkly stained areas or densely packed areas on the chromatin is what is called as heterochromatin or intron. Usually they are transcriptionally inactive. Heterochromatin or introns are transcriptionally inactive. They do not show always like euchromatin. Always euchromatin ತರ transcriptionally active ಆಗಿರಲ್ಲ. Okay, so they are transcriptionally inactive. Such densely packed areas are darkly stained. If we stain, they take dark stain. Okay, darkly stained areas are considered as heterochromatin. Okay, so in human beings, nearly around 97 to 98% of the DNA that consists of heterochromatin. It means we are having more heterochromatin region in our chromatins. More amount of heterochromatin can be seen. Only around 2 to 3%, or nearly around 5%, maybe that is maximum. Around 5% or 2 to 3% that is expressing. That is the euchromatin region. The remaining rest of the regions are heterochromatin. Means that do not code for any kind of proteins. They are transcriptionally inactive. Okay. So these are the two regions that can be seen in chromatin. That is about euchromatin and the heterochromatin. Okay. So in next video, I talk about the concepts like the second part of transformation experiment did by Avery, McLeod and McCarty, and an introduction to RNA and types of RNA. So that I will discuss in the next class. Okay. Thank you.